through collaborations where I wasn't like valued, where I wasn't appreciated, where I really didn't have a strong sense of friendship, right? And during those days, I never felt like I could be courageously myself. Well, I was myself, but there was always this antipathy towards me, right? And that's not right. Like you should have friends that promote you, that encourage you and build you up from the hinterland and back. Those are the kind of friends I want, and that's the kind of friend I am. And by the way, a person of honor will never put anybody down, ever. They will never question another person's honor. But you know, it gets a little like sketchy, right? And I think about like friendships like that, and then I think about modern politics that are just so toxic that I don't like the modern. I'm gonna give this to my sister. Like I don't like modern politics or past politics, and then I realized a lot of people just love politics. Like their whole identity, their whole lifestyle is living according to politics. But my whole lifestyle is living according to a more introverted mindset where you relate to people one on one in just a very kind hearted way, a very sensitive way. And I'm not in like a contest to prove that I'm stronger than somebody else or mightier or this and that. Like that's just not something I want. But I want strong cookie warmth in friendship, right? And I finally like I realized when I let go of things that weren't the best, like really good things have come back into my life. Like recently I started talking to my college friend and I realized like even if we don't agree on things, like we have like this warmth and this sensitivity. And I don't know, I just think about that. And I also think about social media. Like I think how social media has some really negative things going on. Like I'm not saying kids can't use the internet because I've tried to explain this to my mom. I'm like, you can use the internet for academic reasons, and I do all the time. Like I use the internet to research and vet things. I think that's fine. But I think when they're saying that they want to ban kids from going on social media, and it's funny because the Australian legislation did it mention YouTube? I don't know because I think there is a problem. Like I'm not saying that the government has to regulate the internet for the kids, but I do have a problem with parents that just think that a child like 8, 9, 10 should be on the internet just by themselves unsupervised. Like I think you're going to open your child up to a lot of things that might not be good, you know, that might be bad, like in my opinion, you know, because there's a lot of people in this world that will prey on your child. And I don't think like 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds should be dancing to certain songs on YouTube. And I'm not saying they'll never be exposed to those things, but why aren't you having children if all you want to do is give them an iPad? And why aren't you as an adult? Like, and I feel like there's a way to be online without, like, you could use it to research things. Like, I was using the internet to research something about a Lebanese village because I'm part Syrian Lebanese. I was using the internet to research something about hair care. I don't need to, like, be on there, like, to just, you know what they call the dead scroll? I'm making coffee. I don't think that that's healthy, just scrolling without a purpose. Like, watch some, do you ever watch, like, good videos that are educational? Like, I was watching some videos on vegan food and whatnot. I was watching interesting videos or just looking up interesting things. So, I wanted to talk about the legislation of Australia. Like, okay, so I'm sure some Americans are like, oh my gosh, Australia has decided that they are going to keep children under the age of 16 off social media, and they're going to enforce that. Well, I don't know if we need the government to do that. I don't really believe that it should have to be the government, but get this. This is what I find. Yes, they could go on YouTube Kids. That's what I was going to get to. I don't think that the government should have to do it per se, but this is my opinion on that. I believe every country has the right and autonomy to decide for themselves if they want to allow their youth on social media. And if Australian politicians and their public and officials have said that they don't think people under 16 should be on social media. That is the right of the Australian people to decide that. And they're not completely wrong because, like I said before, I am very troubled, like, especially since YouTube Shorts became more popular. There's just too many younger people on there doing things of a very questionable nature that I don't think people that age should be, you know? I don't think that, and they're not supervised. They're not with a parent. It's not like one of those parent accounts, which I also have some questions about, the parent accounts where the kids just seem to be carrying the account. I have questions about that too. Why aren't the adults on it? I think if you have an account, like sometimes showing, like, there's a couple of good parent accounts that show the kids, but it's more limited. It's just showing, like, oh, how they take care of their hair, or trips they do, or family things. But if it's just to where it's all dancing, hi, how you doing, and it's just showing dancing or things that I just think can be a little borderline, I can see why the Australian government is banning it. Because if you're under the age of 16, no, we're not doing that. And at this point, you might be getting yourself a timeout. Anyway, so I can see why. I can definitely see why the Australian government has decided that they want to restrict internet for people under 16. And I know some people are like, oh, but they're just going to get around it. Well, here's the problem. The government shouldn't have to do that. Parents should be doing that. Do what he's saying. I'm going to go ahead and there you go. You got what you wanted. Time out. Anyway, I think maybe the Australian government's making a correct move, a right move. Because why is there something called an iPad kid? Kids shouldn't be just like, I am chill, but you know, listen to my channel, open your mind, be kind-hearted, be strong cookie, and then you'll do better in life. This is a great discussion, and I'm going to keep having it with the people that are thinking with their minds. So anyway, I'm making some coffee, and this is really a good thing. I think maybe the Australian government's making a good choice, because hey, it's probably not going to happen in the US, because I imagine Americans would throw the biggest conniption fit if somebody told them that, even though we do now have like YouTube Kids, and technically you're supposed to be 13 if you have a social media account, technically and legally, yes. But I know Americans would throw the biggest fit. But do you know who's throwing a fit about this? But the thing is, if you're using the internet, you should all be using it to learn about potential art, to research. I do believe, and of course you can go outside too, but it's just because I think, this is my thought on it, Elon Musk, he made a big mistake. Because he's saying now that Australians, that's fine, but restrict freedom of speech of Australians. But he's an American. He's not even an American. He's from South Africa. To the extent that I know, he never became a U.S. citizen. And even if he was a U.S. citizen, he'd be making social media accounts, which, if we look at a lot of the content, I think a balance is good. I think maybe some people should go outside and play. I think you should read a book. If you're online and you're a kid, that. And I think one of the problems that happened, and this really started with the Panini maybe, and even before, a lot of parents, when they did let their kids online, they used to put parental controls on a computer, but now kids just have smartphones and they're going on whatever site they want, or they're starting social media accounts. And if there's a really suggestive video and you have an 11-year-old dancing to it, that's a problem, okay? And I know, like, you could be a younger kid right now and you're probably like, well, what's the problem? The problem is you're not an adult and you shouldn't be dancing like that. And it's just not something a little kid should be doing. And if your parents don't care enough to tell you that, I'm telling you that, okay? I'm going to tell you right now. If you're a kid and your parents don't care enough to tell you why you shouldn't have your like presence on social media and they're not concerned about you that way, I'm going to tell you that maybe you need to tell them, because sometimes the kid might be a more mature one. Maybe there's a problem with that. And there's just really no good time. Like, I thought about this many different ways. And yes, there's YouTube Kids where, you can watch educational, fun, and entertaining content if you're under the age of 16, well, under the age of 13 in the US. But I'm not going to go get involved in parents, family life and tell them what to do. But I always do find it a little questionable when you see a parent just, they're out in public, they're not looking up, they're not making eye contact with people, they're not saying hello. They have their phone in their hand. Can't you store your phone away in your bag or like in your car? And I feel like looking at your phone's kind of like, if you're sitting in a waiting room, that's one thing by yourself. But if you're with your kids, interact with your kids. If you're sitting in a waiting room, I get that, but just sometimes people are walking and they're just like staring at their phone. And I think you need to have an upper limit line on that, just my opinion. But, people should do whatever they want. If this is such a great way to do things, keep doing it. Like, if it's working for you and your family and walking around, staring on the phone, just giving a kid a computer. But yeah, I do think sometimes people need to go outside and do things. I don't think like 11-year-olds need to go to Sephora and buy like a 17-step facial program. Like, they're kids. Like, that's not something little kids need. They don't need like people have a lot of good points. I'm not saying you can never get certain things and you can never go shopping, because I love to shop. But at the end of the day, a lot of TikTok, a lot of Instagram are going to be selling you things, right? So not only are the kids being extremely marketed to, which TV used to do that too, by the way. The 80s were notorious for that. But I think Australia is making a good move. And Elon Musk kind of just looks like he is so out of touch. Like, he wants to control everybody. Like, he is upset other countries make decisions that might not align with his values. And honestly, I haven't even been on X. Like, I don't hate Tesla. I don't have anything against Tesla, but I don't know. I don't. What's so exciting about them? They don't even have a self-driving car program. Like, I thought, like, how come Waymo? This is the thing I don't get. If Elon Musk is so amazing, how come Waymo has been testing the self-driving car, but Elon Musk, who brags about this and that, never got in on that? I think I know why. Because he doesn't really care about like creating technology that could make people's lives better. He just cares about making money. He just doesn't, like, there's nothing humanitarian about him, or I don't, a lot of people just really like him for some reason. And I don't really hate him or anything. I just don't get the allure. And every time you hear a story of like something another country is doing, it seems like Elon Musk is very for it. And another thing about Elon Musk that's just so hypocritical, and I've just been thinking about this because I'm not sad about the election, but I do keep an open mind about the election. They're talking about raising tariffs, which, by the way, other countries are going to retaliate and raise their tariffs on U.S. products too. So all products are probably not going down in price. And then Elon Musk is telling people to tighten their belts, but he's going to benefit from all sorts of tax cuts that are going to be implemented. Does that make any sense? Anyway, I don't know. I don't hate him. I don't really care. I just don't really understand like why people care what he thinks. And I haven't even wanted to go on X. Like, well, I don't like social media that much anyway. Sometimes I look at Reddit, but I'm just like, I'm like on the verge of just deleting my X accounts. Like, I had a couple of accounts on X. I don't really post on them anymore. And I'm just kind of thinking I'm going to delete them or deactivate them just because it just really has gone downhill since it's not even Twitter anymore, in my opinion. Like, I just don't get the point. So at the end of the day, if you want to let your little kids on the internet and and they're doing educational things, and you're monitoring what they're doing, or they're on YouTube Kids, which, by the way, doesn't allow comments for certain reasons, and you're doing that, that's fine. But if you're just letting like an 11-year-old making dancing videos to inappropriate content for an 11-year-old, there's nothing wrong with being an adult when you're an adult. But I do think there needs to be, for cognitive reasons and just to grow up, there needs to be like this gap period where you mature and you have a childhood. And I know, and some people are, I don't want to push extremes, okay? I'm not pushing extremes on either side, but I have been seeing, and it seems like more and more, that there isn't like a promotion of like childhood. Like when I was 11 and 12, you know, kids did kid things, and I read books, and I would probably use the internet to research, but I don't think I would be getting on TikTok to like put on certain kinds of makeup or dance suggestive. I don't even do that now on my channel, right? I don't use my channel in that way, and I don't really, and guys don't do that. I don't see young boys doing that. I see girls doing that. So it just kind of perpetuates a lot of things that I don't think are good for young girls, okay? I'm not saying it doesn't happen with the boys too, but a lot of the questionable things that I do see tend to be with young girls dancing to certain content. And those things make me feel uncomfortable. And I feel like a parent should be more aware of what their children's doing. Should the government have to step in to do it for you? Probably not. I don't think so. I think maybe people should ask why they're having children. Like, why are you having children if you're not like putting all your free time aside for them? Like, you're supposed to, I know, because I just think about the way my mom did it. Well, I don't look at YouTube Kids, to be honest with you. Like, I've just heard it's a little bit better, but maybe there's bad stuff. But if you see bad stuff, just report it. Like, if it's something that's not supposed to be on YouTube Kids, then, I don't know, report that. But end of the day, I guess what I'm trying to say is, yeah, there's always going to be something that slides through. There's always going to be, like, if Australia passes a law, there's going to be like a 15-year-old who will find a way to get on Instagram. But should the government have to pass a law for common sense? Probably not. I would think if you were supposedly like, and this is one thing I just found kind of hilarious, was there was this Fox News commentator who said she had 9 children. I was like, oh my God, she has 9 children? What? It just sounded a little bonkers to me. But she was saying, oh, I realized through trial and error that, oh, the older kids probably should have waited to go on social media. And I was like, do people really listen to that every day? Please don't watch Fox News. I don't listen to MSNBC either. Just read news articles. It sounded strange. And she was saying like, oh, you can have a do-over with your next kid. Okay, so they could grow up with some sort of trauma and the next kid's a do-over. I mean, it just sounded so ridiculous, really. Yeah, parents do need better monitoring skills. I do agree. That's kind of the question I'm trying to have about this. Like, is the government passing a law saying that an 8-year-old not be on TikTok in Australia, is it going to change things? Probably not completely. But at the end of the day, parents should just have more initiative, and even the conservative ones who really love, like, they actually like things like this. They like more regulation in this area, I do believe. And in this case, I don't think they're entirely wrong because I'm not a conservative, but the thing that I just found very flagrant was that this conservative lady said, oh, if I made a mistake with one child, the next child's an opportunity to correct it. But I'm thinking, what about the child that might have been exposed to a bad situation? Are you kidding me? Like cyberbullying or whatever it is. So like with the next child, you prevent that, but this child, like, I don't know. That logic is really lost on me. I think you probably should only have a few kids. Like, yes, people used to have 9 kids back in 1930, but that was a different time period. A lot of people were still doing agrarian farming and things like that. In our modern world, having 9 children, and if you're not really watching what they're doing, I don't really understand that. It kind of confuses me a bit. But, yeah, parents should monitor what their kids are doing. But at the end of the day, like Elon. I don't know, like just some of the things going on right now, like that you're hearing on social media, the political bickering. It's just not healthy for your mind, and it's old-fashioned Roman Empire divide and conquer politics. So anyway, yeah, it's interesting, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just think, yeah, an 8-year-old shouldn't be on TikTok or YouTube dancing to risque videos. It's gross. Like parents, get a better idea.